TikTok, I think, is more, yeah, getting away from reality, like taking a pause and, not thinking about what you have to get done. I mean, my other source
Dang.
is Fortnite too. I think I've talked about that before. I'll get into that later. But I just kind of wanted to bring this up for like you guys, as life has been progressing for all of us, in a way I feel like we've all been very committed to our work schedules, being dual careered individuals. Uh, like at what point does it become like, a little hectic to start balancing, work and life all together for you guys? I got deep so quick, huh?
No, I think that's a perfect point because you're headed in the direction of doom scrolling. And I was talking to somebody about this where like we can easily spend all this time we're learning online social media, but at the same time it's like great one video, then there's the next, then there's the next, and then we switch platforms. Okay, same thing. 15 minutes go by, half an hour. Oh god, okay. And I think between switching real life and work, it's difficult to turn off, kind of similar. It can turn into, I find myself going into almost doom scrolling for work,
Hmm.
but because it's usually like, okay, I got this it's like a snowball, like I'm on that high
The
where,
ball.
okay, yeah, exactly. So because it's so consistent, I'm like, I don't want to stop, not now. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
take a walk around the block and come back to the thing.
Hmm.
Um, but I think for the sake of burnout, that's always the thing that like, okay, I don't want to do that. Take a nap instead. Um, but yeah, I think between being productive and being engaged and not forgetting to live and like literally, I think one of Jordan Peterson's 12 rules of life was like, go ahead and pet a cat. Like if you have something else going on in your surrounding, just hey, I conveniently have two cats. Why am I not gonna take the time to just pet one? Like it doesn't always have to be work, and they're a good reminder for me because when they show up, like all right, April and Eva are here, so now it's time to just sit down and get on the floor and on their level and play with them for a little bit.
Hmm.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we touched on like an episode or two ago about like, burnout and like how we deal with it, right? I think, we've done a lot like in the last 2 years of building the Fortune Collective, right? I think we, at first, when we first started the concept of it, we were very routine on all the meetings. We would meet like bi-monthly, we would have the recordings scheduled, right? And like, we were really focused on, and very driven about the goal and the mission while balancing, being our independent real estate agent, having our 9 to 5, right? So it became very evident, I think, across us as a group, like, how we kind of go and balance all of that. And then obviously with our personal lives, right? And, it's been a lot of work. We accomplished a lot, and I think, there's a lot for us to be proud of, right? And, life doesn't really stop. Work is always going, life never stops, right? And so it's I feel like personally for myself, like I'm kind of at that transition point where life is kind of flipping priorities on me, right? Where I'm kind of having to kind of focus in on like, one kind of growing a family at this point in my life, right? And like kind of stepping a little bit back from work, right? And so, it's a huge mindset shift change. Like I've always knew in my heart and my soul that I wanted to have a family one day.
Hmm.
And it's one of my goals in life that I really wanted. And I'm at the point now where it's like, all right, let's make it happen, right? And I think like having to kind of go and like now put life and that as the forefront of my priorities, like has kind of forced me to kind of evaluate like where do I want my career to go and like how do I want to kind of push forward. Like I'm not necessarily thinking about it being like a complete stop, but more like a pause,
Hmm.
right? And it is really exciting and then also really scary, right? I feel like when you go through like those life transitions and then when you kind of, you are really driven for years upon years of making your career goals happen
Hmm.
and then having to kind of go and like hold the brakes, right? It is really scary, but I think everybody has to go through it at some point in their life, right? Whether or not it's, whether or not it's like family related, right? I feel like everybody kind of has like those transition points in their life where they kind of evaluate like where does their career and where does their priorities sit. And so, I'm glad we're kind of talking about that today because I feel like it is very a prevalent part of my life right now, right? And I know everybody's going to have to go through it at one point in their life. And so, yeah, it's been really crazy, just kind of navigating this, right? And I'm just really glad to have the time to talk to you guys about it today. So
And the viewers specifically.
and the viewers specifically, yeah, I don't think we really had like a forum to really talk about that, right? And, I think when we were planning this episode, we're thinking about how to go and make this announcement that, they may see less of me, at least for a little bit, right? As I'm kind of navigating this career transition, this life transition, right? So yeah, it is super exciting. And I think for us as a team, we're also trying to kind of navigate what that looks like as well, right? We've been really fast forward like 2 years. And so now having to kind of go and I don't know, I'm throwing a wrench in our plans, guys. That's how I see it.
I
But,
think
you know,
it gives
I,
us a time and something to celebrate because it's
yeah.
exciting. We're excited for you, and at the same time, it's one of those
Mhm.
things unexpected, but you were thinking about it, and what better time than the present, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And, I think we're at a really good spot in the team too, right? I really feel like we determined kind of who we are, how we wanted to work together, and really like what the premise of this group was, right? And so I think this was like a good time, not planned by any means, but
Mhm.
but I feel like I'm kind of taking a pause here and really feeling confident and really optimistic about where this group is headed, right? Whether or not I'm going to be, offline and put that in quotes for a couple months here, but
That's a good way to put it, There's a lot of like different, you know, milestones in life where, that does require us to take pauses. And, that's one of those things where it's like you need to know how to take a breather sometimes. It's okay. Like I feel like, we're also used to, kind of go, 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 just keeping like the foot on the gas pedal going at all times. But I think that's one of those things that, and conversations that I've had with you guys and conversations that I've had with friends and coworkers, it's always a good thing to just take some time to yourself. If this is still within the same topic, and it's funny how we were talking about TikTok earlier because I saw like a TikTok video. So this it was just like an influencer. He's going around to I think it was these like apartment buildings or something, and you know how you typically have like house cleaning and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So he had gone up to, the cleaning ladies, asking them, hey, you want to take the day off to go to Disneyland? And then they all kind of looked at him like, they're like, no, like, what do you mean? Like, go to Disneyland. I'm working. I can't stop working. And he's like, no, it's all good. I already talked to your boss. The boss, he did. They got the permission. So he took like three or four of them out to Disneyland. And, long story short, and one point in that video, one of them said that they can't remember the last day that they had a date to themselves. And that's one of those things where I just think to myself, like, dang, like, I mean, it kind of hits home because I mean, that's what I've seen my entire life with my parents. Also, like, my parents have never had an actual vacation in all the years in their life ever. Um, they've always kind of been work, work, work since they're teenagers, pretty much. And that same mentality kind of has been transferred over to me, being like, their son and where I've constantly worked, worked, worked since I was basically in school. I was told, get good grades, get a good job, work, get and achieve all these other milestones in life. And it hasn't been until I got into a little bit more into like now mid-20s where it's more of, oh, like you don't not every single time that you're gonna take a pause, it has to be like a life-changing moment. It's, you could take a pause, like if you have had a rough week or a long week, however you want to put it, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then after, or even a month, however, however long you can go for, working, 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 it's okay to, take a breather and whatever that looks like to you, then, by all means, go right ahead, But yeah, it's one of those things that's definitely, I think you know, implemented a little bit more into my life just because I feel like I've always been go, 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 like my whole life. But yeah, I mean, I'm not like I'm like that old or anything, but it's different when you start working when you're 12 years old. So I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, I don't know. That was just kind of my little 2 cents. I don't know why I'm so deep. I think it's just the cloudiness outside. Uh, I'm like, Katie's like, I'm in Seattle. It's cloudy every day. What do you mean? Sorry, guys. I'm a SoCal guy. I'm used to the sun.
Ironic. It's sunny today, so
No
maybe
way.
it is. It is, guys.
What about you? How's it in Florida right now?
Oh, it's gorgeous outside. It's not even like humid. It's gorgeous.
Oh God, dude. Okay, so you guys got like, okay, I got the short end of the stick.
Because it's raining
Yeah.
there.
Raining, it's cloudy, it's gloomy. I think I just used a bunch of synonyms, but it's okay. But yeah, maybe that's why I'm deep. Anyways, Bartholomew, go right ahead.
Yeah, no, I think there's signs of all of that everywhere, and whether we decide to see them or not. Like over the weekend, I had a date, and this is the first time I've had interest in somebody. Like, okay, I'm curious, even though it's from a distance, but enough to like remind me. Like a lot of what I do is because same thing. Like I think about family, I think about the children that I'll have, and like what I'd like for them to enjoy because I did all the work or a lot of work up front. And so anything after that is really more sustainment and that things that I might have missed out from childhood that they can benefit from because, hey, they don't have to really worry about certain things and they can explore more on who they are and what their interests are and really where I, I I can see that the issues that I thought like, okay, are we gonna have food to eat? Are we gonna make ends meet? Is it like a paycheck to paycheck situation? Like that's the sort of thing I didn't want. So like their set of problems are gonna be different from the ones I grew up. But this past weekend and having the day is like going back to family. This is the theme. Like I know the end result is gonna be that, and that's why I do everything I do. Um, but I don't know. I think to your point about being deep, it's like the reminders just there's always signs everywhere, and it's usually when you least expect it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah. Like, I would say like it's yeah, you can't really plan for these things, right? You just kind of have to feel like your intuition, right? Like, hey, you know what? I need a break. Like whatever that looks like for it looks like different for everybody, right? But I think we all kind of have like our point where we're like, is all of this that we're doing worth it, right? And I think once you get to that point and you have that, that question in your head, that's probably a good sign that you probably need to, take a breather, step back a little bit and reevaluate.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, I don't know, guys. It's just I feel like life is never gonna stop. And it's it's for me, like I'm thinking about, having this pause, right? Like I want to come back full force next at the early next year, right? That
Hmm.
is my goal, that's my plan. And, it's gonna be really interesting to see what that looks like for me, right? And I don't know, that's what I'm thinking about like all the time. Like it's just like, I like not only am I gonna pause like, the real estate stuff until next year, I'm pausing, my 9 to 5 as well, right? As I'm going through taking my full maternity leave all in one go, right? And it's it's just and like, having like a child at that point too, it's just gonna be, I can just imagine life being really different, right? And I just don't know what capacity me coming back is gonna look like, but I know for sure that I'm probably gonna be energized to come back, right? And I think that's like, I feel like that's what how everybody feels after having some sort of break, right? And having that like a pivotal moment where it's like, you know what, let's go to Disneyland, right? For a couple days or however long, or whatever, that break or that looks like, right? I feel like I never regret having, like, even when I go on like short trips or vacations, like I never regret it, right? And I think like having like that refreshed mindset and like having that, like I feel more motivated than ever usually when I come back, right? And so like having that extended time for, myself and this family that I'm growing right now, like I can only imagine like how energized I'm going to feel start the new year. So